Hi. Okay, so this lighting would be, I don't know, terrible, good, I don't know. I believe it's okay. So I shot this video 3 different times, and all of them I was halfway satisfied, halfway like I don't think so, and then the other half of me was like, maybe shoot it again when you have a free time. When you have free time, not a free time. So I spent all my summer actually wondering how I could maybe make this work. So I came up with this idea that I should abort, not entirely, but mostly the idea for this video I had in the first place, which in the first place was for me to tell you a little bit about myself and how I started writing. But I thought and I believe that if I do that and upload that, I'll be checking out and not do the whole like promote my stories and talk about stories in general that I'm writing. So I kind of like thought maybe I would chicken out and I would not do any of that. So here I am, doing exactly what I said I will do in the first place, like talk about my stories. And maybe, just maybe, I don't know how this will go, maybe throw in some questions about myself so you guys can get to know me. It's the first time I'm doing this. I feel like I'm a snob now that I'm doing this. Like, oh, I think I'm somebody. Ooh. And that's why I'm making videos. But the reason why I make this actually, is because I want to promote my stories. Why? Because it's fun and because I don't get a lot of comments. I do get views. I don't get votes. I don't get comments, mostly ever. If I do, it'd be 1 in 3 months or 1 in a year. And I really want guys to tell me what you think of the story, because I know I'm making a lot of crossovers with my stories. I make a lot of weird combinations of TV shows, books that maybe most of you are not aware of. So I want you guys to tell me if you like. And excuse me, there is this plane crossing by. No, flying by. Yeah, I'm not a native English speaker, so sorry for any spelling mistake. Not spelling, like talking mistakes. So, yeah. And because I make those weird combinations, as I said, I want your guys' opinion. Because yeah, I make a lot of crazy crossovers, as you might well get to know very soon. But also, I make stories that I believe would be fun or would be like unique, like nobody else thought about it. Yeah, that. And also, this is not scripted. I do not have a video editing app yet. So you're gonna see a lot of ahs and oohs and ees and awkward silences. So give me a second so I can open my computer. And I'm back. I accidentally pressed stop instead of resume video, so I'm starting this over again. I'll try make them one video somehow. I'll find a way. So now I opened my computer and I opened my Wattpad and Fanfiction.net, which they are the sites I'm uploading my stories on. Oh, how I started with fanfiction? I believe I was 14, maybe 15, maybe between that year that I became familiar with the term of fanfiction. Anyway, my very first story was a disaster. The second story got 30 reviews, and I'm really glad it did. Unfortunately, didn't have the inspiration to continue it, so I uploaded, I believe, 8 3 chapters. I'm not sure. It's very long. Now though, I have 97 stories, and most of them are ongoing. Others are completely no, actually most of them are completely abandoned, not because of I didn't like them. It's because I reached a writer's block for them, and I cannot find inspiration to continue with them. Yes, there is potential. I see that every time I reread them in hopes that maybe, just maybe, I get inspiration and write a chapter. A story that I had given up upon for a long time until I got a review with a question like, hey, are you going to upload this or not, was We Meet Again. This story is supernatural. It's a crossover with Supernatural, the TV show, and Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the books, and the movies. Because I actually watched first the movies, then I read some of the books, the ones I did manage to find in Greek. Surprisingly, they talk about Greek gods, but in my country, which is Greece, if you haven't already noticed, there aren't many of them translated. So I had a hard time finding a copy which was translated in Greek, and once I did, I only found like the first 5 of them, and I know there are many of them. I attempted to read some of them in PDF form, but school life and life in general got in the way, and I got sidetracked. I grew up. I matured, I guess, and I do find them exciting still, but I don't know. I changed probably my type of books I choose probably changed, because recently I've been reading, I don't have it with me at this moment. I'll go get it. I hope I don't get the mistake and stopped it again, but see you in 1 second. I did it the correct way. So I started reading this, which is sorry if I mispronounced the name. I don't speak Italian. Elena Ferrante, My Brilliant Friend, and the second book of the series called The Story of a New Name. They are amazing books. I recommend reading them if you like the fiction inspired by real life events. So I stumbled upon this book trying to find Percy Jackson new books, and when I read them I'm like, nice, because the bookstore I usually go to find Percy Jackson books have run out of them. So I bought this one and I got sucked into this. So I'm actually waiting to gather money and buy the 3rd book of the series. They're really good. So back to the fanfiction I had abandoned for quite a while. It's, as I said, We Meet Again. It's a crossover with the Supernatural, Percy Jackson and the Olympians series. It talks about, I'm gonna read the description I had for the story. What if after Dean left Lisa and Ben, they moved to New York? Who is Ben's biological dad? What if Ben was a demigod and for the past 5 years he's been training and fighting monsters? What will happen when a friend of Ben's gets mysteriously murdered and the whole scene looks like Sam's and Dean's job? Will they witness a change in Ben? Will Ben call them? So for those who after this go read it, it has 12 reviews, 17 favorites, and 25 follows. I'm sorry for all those people because I did not. I rushed it. That's the truth. I rushed to finish it. It only has 2 chapters, and honestly, I didn't like how I forced myself to write, which happens a lot of times. one of a few of the stories I'm currently working on. Oh, sorry, sidetracked it. One more story I had difficulty in writing was a story called Chicago City, Danger City. What the description of the story, for those who are interested, is about the Chicago PD TV series. Go check it out if you want it. The description for the story goes: Franny Cortez's life was good until one disaster hit, and then everything went downhill from there, causing her to lose her job. Beaten in the game of life, she moves to Chicago, hoping for a clean start. Will she get it or not? What obstacles will she meet? Is there a chance for a happy ending? Trigger warning: mention of rape, anorexia, drug addiction, alcohol addiction. Now, this story was requested by a person on Wattpad for me to write in the first place. It is both on Wattpad and fanfiction.net. All the stories, most of them actually, that I'm telling you about will probably be on both sites, which their links will be down below if I upload this again and do not reshoot it again. But if I do and you're watching this, then okay. So it was requested. I spent a few months working on it, and it took me a completely different direction from the one I had in mind, the one the person who had requested it had in mind. I'm satisfied with the end, but I'm still going to say it was rushed, because I believed that I was running out of time and patience coming from the other person who had requested this story. So, go read it, because it only has one favorite, which I'm glad for that person who favorited it. I hope I can see a review maybe. Also, for those who, I said a lot of alters, for those who think that me asking review is like an invitation for you guys to be rude and hate on my story, I beg you, I ask you kindly not to do it. I have already negative mind, so why the hell would you write something bad? There's this, I don't think it's a Greek saying, but I mostly heard from my grandma, that says if you have nothing good to say, don't talk at all, which I advise you to do if you do. I do get constructive criticism. It helped me a lot in the past. If you read the older stories I have, they're written with a weird way of writing. But suddenly, because I had a comment, I guess, it was from a guest, or not, I don't quite remember, but I want to thank them, that told me that the type of writing I was doing wasn't called writing. It was similar to a script writing than a book writing, and my writing was a book one, but in a script form, and that wasn't right. So I read a few books, I read a few other fanfictions, I saw the way of writing they were using and tried it myself. At first it was hard, but now it comes naturally. So yeah, I do get constructive criticism, and they help me realize mistakes I didn't know. For example, I got one more constructive criticism, was that I do not reread or proofread my stories, and when I publish them, there are a lot of spelling mistakes, words missing. I try to proofread them, but sometimes it isn't my fault that words are missing or letters are just like, for example, I remember one sentence, it had the word promise in, but the only thing you guys read was a P. Yeah, seriously, it was P, the letter. And I was like, what happened? Apparently some glitches on the site, not me. So I proofread them both before and after I published them. What happened with me today? Two stories actually, I'm working on, and they're really complicated. Like there is this crazy crossover I told you about. Wait a second. Yeah, it's the Second Chances. I first started this story inspired by Shadowhunters, the TV show. Yeah, I haven't read the books. I couldn't find the books, to be honest. I went to read the books after I watched the movie. I don't know, most of you say the movie sucked, but I kind of liked it. And they got me into the fandom, so when I first watched the episode where we were introduced to Sebastian, which is Clara's, I didn't say her name right. Sorry. Clara's brother, I came with this idea, like, what if he could probably change? So me being a sucker for crossovers, I imagined a crossover with Doctor Who. For those who don't know Doctor who is Doctor Who, you have a 50 years of worth of television to catch up on, so do it before the 11th series start. Yeah, as you might well get to know me soon, I'm a huge fan of Doctor Who. I grew up watching Doctor Who. My dad watched Doctor Who with me when I was 4 years old. No, 6, because in 2005 it came back, so I was 6 years old at the time, but still, it felt like I was growing up with it. So the story Second Chances, as I said, came as a thought. Maybe what if Sebastian, who's Jonathan, got a second chance? I think that was the first idea I got while I was watching the episodes with the whole Jonathan thing unfolding. The thought became more consistent in my mind. So I came up with this idea, which is, what if Jonathan got a second chance to correct his mistakes? What will await him? That's the story. So, and I have like a warning, I guess, or disclaimer that I said, Shadowhunters, Doctor Who, Torchwood, The Vampire Diaries, Teen Wolf, the original crossover, and in the future, Arrow, The Flash, DC Legends of Tomorrow, X-Men, The Charmed, Once Upon a Time. So it's like a salad full of TV shows. It's really complex. I had a difficulty at times because in the story I'm jumping from the past to the future, and then more into the future. So I'm like, ugh. So if you get to read this, which I'll be so happy if you do, leave a comment telling me if you got confused. Because many times before I write one more chapter, I get confused, so I have to reread the entire story, and I'm like, oh, that's who is who. So I'm not making any spoilers. I just told you guys it works in 3 different timelines, which is the past, the future, and even more future. So you've been warned. I try to make it clear when I'm talking about what. Actually, it goes when I'm talking about when, but still. I believe if you haven't watched any of those TV shows that I'm talking about there, you'll be confused. For those who have watched the TV shows, you'll be more confused. So here's a disclaimer. I create my own universe. Even though it's talk about those TV shows, I'm altering events, people, characters actually, and in general I'm changing a lot of things because I'm a sucker for crossovers and OCs and everything else. OCs, it's, I believe, original character. So another story I want to talk about was a story that I worked on while I was watching one of the 2 TV shows that is crossover with. It came up as an idea because of the topic. For those who have watched Broadchurch, my aunt told me it was a good TV show and I watched it. Like in a few days or a few weeks, I watched 3 seasons worth of TV show. I watched the TV show. I got really invested in the characters. Yeah. And then the idea came up to me. For those who have read my stories prior to this video, or any video in general, you'll know I have a very, very, very big obsession with the Arrow universe. Why? I don't know. I like the character Felicity. But what I like about her character is there was no background until like a few seasons ago. So it gave me the creative freedom to create many different point of origins for her. Either was like crossover with other TV shows, or was it like, oh, Felicity's Greek because uh, or Felicity's like had a troubled past. So one of those I recently worked on was, and I'm proud of, even though I didn't foolproof read it because I wasn't in an environment that I had time to proofread it. I was in my great aunt's house where there's no internet and no time because we were dealing with family stuff. So the story is called "The Past Invades the Present." Sorry, "The Past Invades the Present." Tim Arrow goes to Dorset, Wessex. Sorry if I'm misspelling or killing in pronunciation the words. For a tech expo for Queen Consolidated. Yet a member of the team has demons to face in Dorset. Which member of the team is it though? How will things go? Will the team's bond get stronger or weaker? Trigger warning: rape, depression, suicide attempt, miscarriage, depression. I wrote it twice. Anxiety attack, death. Also, it's a lot of AU, so you've been warned. I wrote this story, and it's a crossover with the Arrow, as I said, and the TV show Broadchurch. It was a heavy story I wrote. Why I wrote it? I wanted to. I felt that it was a great idea. I felt that, I don't know, I just wanted to write it. Yeah, there's an explanation. Another story that I got inspired by my own. I'm gonna tell you 3 of them, but go with it. The first one I got inspired by my own life, and it's not a crossover. It's just a fanfiction about Felicity in the Arrowverse. Is the story Depressed? It says people reach their breaking point at some point. It's just a matter of time, but what matters most is how you're going to react and if you have a support system. Felicity has reached that point. Trigger warning: depression, self-harm, suicide attempt. Also is slightly AU. I got this story because I'm going through the similar things Felicity in my story goes through. I went through them. I tried to make them more like Felicity-like, since we already know her background story. Like, she went to MIT. She's the daughter of a single mom. I tried to enter that mostly to her character. So it's not a lot of AU, like, oh, she's a different nationality. She's still American, but she just dealt with a lot of emotional trauma. Much more than she had before she already joined Team Arrow. So I'm trying to show how Felicity probably may have had a past trauma that helped her shape the personality that she has now. Although I'm not referring to Cooper, I think that was his name, the boyfriend Cooper that she was dating in MIT. I think I'm not sure. I believe I mentioned him once. I'm not sure. Don't take up on this. If I don't, I'm sorry if I got you excited. Then another story is The Draw. Now, this story is a crossover with Chicago Med. For those who don't know why, I'm so obsessed with the Chicago Med and Arrow crossovers that I wrote most of them. So, if you want, you can go check it out. I got obsessed with Chicago and the entire TV show because of a few characters that were on the Arrow are now in those Chicago TV shows. So I started watching it, and while I was watching it for them in order for me to understand what was going on, I kinda start loving it. Yeah, I like how real they are, and how it talks about real life events. So if you're a fan for those types of TV shows, I will recommend them. Not because it's great acting, but because it's great. So the story of the draw. Felicity decides to build a life away from Team Arrow. How that would go? Some choices will need to be made. I don't know, this story, I started writing it, and when I was writing the first chapter, I was like, okay, I'm totally going to give this up because I don't know where I want this story to go. Halfway through the second chapter, I was like, I have an idea. Through the third chapter, I was like, oh yeah, I have an idea. So now it's the 8th chapter, and I have an idea where I wanted to go. Then another story I had with Felicity's background story that I really, really love was actually... wait, give me a second. Oh yeah, I found another one. Sorry, there are not 3, there are many of them, so bear with me. It's The Secret Lives. Who said Felicity and Tommy didn't know each other before Oliver not met them, introduced them? Sorry for the spelling mistake on this. Yeah. Let's take a deep dive into the story. A Connor, Felicity, Oliver story. Pretty much that's what happened in the story. It's similar with it's similarish. Is that a word? With the draw story. At some point I got confused about the characters' backgrounds, and I was like, I'm confused. And I didn't have time to reread the entire story because I was writing finals in school. I'm in college, for those who don't know. So yeah, I'm going completely crazy. A lot of us. It's really way down. Okay, I remember half of it, so sorry. I think the story is called Felicity Greek or something. Pretty much the story talks about Felicity probably being Greek, and I'm trying to explain why her name doesn't sound Greek at all. So yeah, if you wanna, you can go way down on my fanfiction.net account, which I'm going to link below. Sorry for this, and I hope you enjoy it. Now I have. I need to breathe. One more story I had. Sorry. Yeah. Another story I recently, and it's the last one with Arrow that I'm going to say today, is The Running Wolves. This story yet again was requested by a really good friend of mine. Her name is Lily. Sorry, Lily, if I mispronounced her name and I didn't say your handle name, I'm gonna try to put your suddenly forgot how to speak English. Sorry. I'm trying to put your profile link down below for a shout out. So she requested this story. It's a wolf blood a crossover with Arrow. I had tried to do in the past a crossover with wolf blood, sorry, called She Wolf Blood. I just reached a point where I didn't know what to write next. It was just, I thought it would be a one shot, and it is a one shot. So this story, she encouraged me to write it a lot because I was like, oh yeah, I like this idea. What am I going to write? And she gave me some ideas. I asked her like, what would you like to happen in the next chapter, or in the chapter after that, or in the entire story? And she said this, and this. And from that, I kind of drew inspiration. what is the Running Wolf story talking about? Well, it talks about this. Felicity Megan Smoke has her own story. She's not just a plain IT girl that helps the Arrow. She has her own story and secrets. I meant to say secret things. But now, that now might make her run. Run? Where? Why? Read it to find out. It's a story that when I first started writing the first chapter, I was like, okay. It was hard. And I didn't know where I wanted to go. The second chapter, I started writing and my fingers took me in a completely different direction than I had planned. The third chapter, it was, wow. I started writing it. Okay, at first I had trouble getting inspired. She helped me yet again. And then suddenly I started writing and I had literally to stop myself because I would go like, I think it was 37 pages. And I was like, who is going to read 37 pages? So I kind of stopped myself and I have an idea of where I want the story to go. It's not really... now it has 11 reviews, surprisingly. So yeah. Then we're ending the part with the Arrow inspired. No, we're not closing the part with the Arrow inspired fanfictions because the one I want to talk about is about Arrow, but it's not about Felicity. So the story I'm talking about is the Just Arrived. I recently, I believe like 2 days ago, I uploaded the third chapter of this story. I don't know how this story came up to me. It was just a thought, like, oh, what if, because I really want to have my original character interact with them, because I feel like I have overused the Felicity origin stories, which I have, if you check on everything that I'm writing. So I came up with this idea. What it says, there is a potential new member for Team Arrow, but what's her story? How she ended up in Star City. Here is a little bit hint for those who haven't read it, which I don't believe there are many because it has 2 faves and 2 follows. Spoiler alert, I had a completely different idea where my story wanted to go and where it goes. So I'm finding out the same way you guys are finding out. The moment I'm like, I'm gonna start writing this chapter and I'm suddenly going a completely different direction. Why? Because I firstly thought it would be only Arrow-based story, but suddenly it moves around the Arrowverse, which is The Flash, DC Legends of Tomorrow. Am I forgetting something? Probably. So it's a completely... Whoa, mosquito, sorry. It's a completely of the TV shows. And I'm changing a lot of the DC Legends story, I guess. I'm changing a lot because it's an AU and I probably haven't read that. So if you read this and you're like, it doesn't match up with the TV show, I'm sorry, okay? So now we're going to my next love, which is Doctor Who. I recently, like 2 months ago, 3 I guess, I was, as I said, in a place where there is no internet or Wi-Fi. Okay, we get it, you're angry. So I was kind of trying to fall asleep. I had trouble falling asleep recently. Completely irrelevant fact. And when I cannot sleep, I sometimes like make scenarios in my head, and most of the scenarios are part of my stories. So I came up with this story that put me to sleep, not because it was boring, but because I kind of exhausted myself. So the story is called The Girl He Never Noticed. When I was writing the story, book 1, okay, the title is this: The Girl He Never Noticed, book 1, By the way, I got bitten by a mosquito. Great, I love summer. No, I don't. I prefer winter. So, this story talks about this. Amelia Rose Williams, a girl born in Mystic Falls, and mostly I'm having in the Flash reference because I still cannot get out of the Arrowverse, but it's not a crossover with the Arrow, okay, or the Flash. It's just a mention of what happened, okay. It moves past it. Raised in Central City, mostly raised in Central City and Mystic Falls, a girl who is a half a werewolf, half a witch, and after the particle accelerator blown up, she became a metahuman. Quite complicated. A girl that has a destiny, a girl with no parents, an orphan, a girl that will change the course of history, a girl that she met the doctor, and fanfiction.net got my description for this story, so wait a second. Okay. Okay, I said the girl she met the doctor, Rose, and Captain Jack Harkness while they crashed near the graves of her parents, and the doctor decided to take her with her. A girl the doctor made the mistake to think that he had time to meet her. A girl that went unnoticed by the doctor. And this is her story, a story about who are your real friends no matter what they offer. And I have a few spelling mistakes now I realize watching it. So when I first started writing the story, after I thought about it while I was trying to fall asleep, I came up with this idea, like, what if maybe it should be a prequel of an actual story that I would like to write. So for those who haven't read it, spoiler alert, it's a prequel. I'm working on the other story, which would be focused on Amelia Rose Williams' kids, and because recently, kids, okay? It's Doctor Who, the originals, and I'm having a lot of the Vampire Diaries characters mentioned, since it's an AU, which stands for Alternative Universe. And while I was like brainstorming for ideas for the second book, I came up with this one. I've been reading a book on Wattpad that is now ended, called Before Noon. It is, I'm gonna link it down below, by the way. Give me a second. Okay, so the story I was reading on Wattpad is called Before Noon. It's written by, I'm sorry if I misspelled your name, your great friend, Squirrel G. It is an amazing. I will totally recommend go reading it. So she put up a fanfiction contest, and because I'm a sucker for crossovers, as I said before, I was start brainstorming for both the girl he never noticed and for the fanfiction I wanted to enter. And this brilliant idea formed in my head while I was showering one day. What if Amelia's William kids, especially, spoiler alert, her daughter, Rebecca, somehow went into the Before Noon universe for an adventure? And I pitched that idea to Squirrel LG, and she was like, okay, but I'm afraid that I might not understand what is going on with the rest of the characters. And I told her that I would try to explain most of it. So still, this idea is in the works in my head, but it will be fun to see how I'm going with this. I also have another idea about the same thing, like maybe another adventure where Rebecca will go. You'll make it a crossover with recently favorite TV show called The Marvels, Cloak and Dagger. If you haven't watched that TV show, I would totally recommend it. So yeah, that's about it. So it's 36 36 minutes this video, and probably the other one I accidentally stopped, so sorry. You're gonna suffer with me. Okay, so thank you for watching. I'm sorry that I've spent half of the video scratching my leg, but I got bitten by a mosquito just a second ago. Not just a second, like a few minutes ago, but still it's fresh. And the mosquito's not dead, so I'm coming for it. So, thank you for watching this, for hearing me ramble or babble. I don't know, babble. Yeah. Still, English is not my native language, so I'm sorry for any mistakes. I'm sorry for the awful lighting. Why am I apologizing? If you find this really weird and immature and just plain stupid, so I'm sorry. Oh my god, was I apologizing? Okay, so for real, I'm ending this. So thank you for watching. I'll put all my links down below. Oh my god, I sound like a YouTuber now, which I'm not. It's completely like, probably like I don't have a schedule yet. I'm like when I'm going to upload or when I'm not. So whenever I get the inspiration, you might see a video. So yeah. I hope you visit my sites and enjoy my stories. I hope you enjoyed this video and didn't get bored listening me to talk about with a terrible accent. So yeah, my self-esteem is really high, as you can see. Bye. Oh, should I introduce myself? Oh yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm Vicky, and bye.